It's got lots of character. It's got hills, it's got woods, it's got flat ground, it's got a brook, really clean with a gravel bottom. So it's got everything you could possibly want in a piece of land that's out of sight, out of mind. But wait till you check it out, guys, you'll love it, honestly. This is the farm track, always kept nice and neat. So this is the first bit of the farm track that you're coming down. Take relatively good care of this farm track, and this farm track is owned by the owner who's selling the land, not by any of these properties here. He converted all of these properties and he sold all that land that you've just passed on the left and this land on the right as well to these properties. So he built those properties, converted those barns, but the land itself is further on down this track here. You come all the way down here. So it's right out the way. And then there's another bit of land there, so a family member. And then you come down this track, and this is the track to the land. A lovely track, and it's quite long. Now I'll probably edit this down in the video, but this is the track. He hasn't been down with the tractor to cut it lately, but he will. And it's got loads of chippings and that. It's got lovely woodland to the left, and then he has awesome woodland up that hill. So if I can just reverse back here, that might not look it going up that hill there. That might not look it going up there, but that there is a track, and when he cuts it out you can drive up that track there to the top of the land, and then just carry on going down this part of the land. Like I say, he trims all these edges, all this will be trimmed. It's a lot of land. And then he has mature woodland to the left here, huge trees with a double-storey tree house in them. I don't know if I can see it. There it is there. So there's the old tree house there. But we'll come back and have a look at this, and you could build several of those in all that woodland there and rent them out, and you can access them, that treehouse, from the access track that I said is later on down the road. Just keep going down the access track. So this is right out the way, guys, perfect for off-grid living, unbelievable site for off-grid living. Then you turn, there's some landowners up there who use it to walk the dogs. He sold them that land as well. And you come around the corner here, and this is your entrance into your land. All rights to access the land and everything else have been granted because it's his road. He's going to keep the road as well to make sure there's no arguments over the road. But you're coming now to the land itself. That tree needs topping. I'll get under that. And then he has beautiful ponds to the left there. All the way to the bottom here, and this is where you would park up. You could make yourself a little parking bay there, or you could put a steel barn there. And we're going to have a look at the land now. Hi guys, welcome to Small Farmer Life. Hope you're all having an awesome Sunday. And today, guys, I'm going to give you a tour of a piece of land that if you didn't know was here, you just would never know. And these are the sorts of pieces of land you need to be looking for when you're out on your travels. Now, most people would just drive past this sort of land, and this land is around about 6-7 acres in meadowland. It's got another 5 acres of woodland. It's got 2 mature ponds. It's got mature trees all around the outside of it, so all on the opposite side of the brook, all the way around. It's got oak trees, it's got hills up the top there where you could build log cabins or put solar panels or put a wind turbine. You wouldn't get no complaints because there's nobody that you can see or can look onto your land. Plus, it's only about a mile away from the local supermarket, but you'd feel like you were 100 miles away from civilization, but you're not, trust me. Now, normally all this grass will be cut, and it will be cut before he sells it. He has a tractor and he just comes in and he trims it all down. He has owl boxes, he has kingfishers local to this spot. He has, I forgot what they're called, big birds of prey, I can't remember what they're called, but he used to come down, feed them, dead mice, dead chicks, dead rabbits. So it's truly wildlife orientated, and the ponds are amazing. Now, we're not even at the end of the meadowland yet, it's that cool. And if you wanted to go totally off grid, this is the perfect place to do that. If you wanted to go totally off grid, this place is easily set up to go off grid. The brook there, you could dam off, you can get down to the brook, and it's got a gravel bottom, it's got crawfish in there, the American can't, but it did have some steps. I can't find them because of the quick growth of the trees that go down to the bottom of the brook, but I don't know if you can just see it there. I don't want to fall down. So that's what the brook looks like, really clear, and it comes from one end of the land all the way down to the bottom end of the land. And the land you can see behind me isn't all of the land, because you've got a pond there that comes up out the ground. Now, it's awesome ground, it doesn't flood, and the amount of rain we've had, that brook is still down there. I mean, if you'd had proper thunderstorms for weeks and weeks on end, it could flood, but I doubt it. And I'm sure he said it flooded one time back in the day, and he's 75-year-old, so he'd know if it flooded. And the land border is there, and the people who own that land is just a company of some sort. It was going to be a gravel mine, but then they abandoned it because there wasn't enough to actually get out the ground to make it viable. But all of this hedgerow here is where your land actually stops, or the boundary of the land actually stops. And what people could use this for, this land, is pretty unbelievable. The grass is getting a little bit long here, but you could have camping pods on this side of the land. You wouldn't have to farm it. Camping pods would do just fine. You could even set up a few pitches for people to actually come and camp on themselves, because it's so quiet. If you could set up Wi-Fi, maybe you don't have to set up Wi-Fi, maybe you want to start an Iron Age village or something like that. Now I'm going to take you up, show you the ponds, show you what they're like. And it's so peaceful, so quiet, you can't even hear a car. That's how peaceful and quiet it is. And like I say, we're only a mile away from the supermarkets. But he has owl boxes all around the place. And he has resident kingfishers, which he feeds all the time. And on a side note, he charges photographers bird watchers to come and photograph the birds. He charges £120 a day. So that'd be a good little side income, something you're not working at full time. But he puts up old weighing scales and old farm machinery that you can pick up for like 30 quid. So when the birds land on them, they can take good pictures. Something simple to do, but make some good money at it. But when all this is cut down, I'd like to show you what it looks like when it's cut down, because it looks amazing. Like really amazing, honestly. So this is the first pond we're going to take a look at. So as you can see, it's not a small pond. It goes right over in that corner. Then it has an island there, and you see that tree just there? That's where the kingfisher sits on before he dives in for the fish that the guy brings. So that's one side of the pond, and there's the land, one side of the land. So this is around about 3.5 acres, 4 acres. So good land, perfectly good enough to start a business on. And you could easily dig a well to get down to the water table, because that brook isn't that deep, and I can imagine the water table can't be any more than 20 foot or something like that. But I don't know much about water tables, so who knows. But I've always wanted to get my hands on this land, and I guarantee that whatever this land sells for, and it won't be as much as some people think, whatever it sells for, it will bring back straight away. It's gonna bring back a lot of money. Glamping pods on one side of the land, so you could have glamping pods over there, and you could use this side of the land for yourself, or you could use the hillsides for yourself. So you can either top up some ledges going up the hill. Maybe you might want to build a house into the hillside and look down on all the land you own, because I'll show you the view from up on the hill. You can see everywhere below you that you would own. I'll show you the pond from another angle. And he has these little bird huts here where people can come in, sit down and take pictures of all sorts of birds. Loads of migrating birds come here, and it's a great place. So this is another view of the pond, well planted, really nice and really deep. So that's one pond. I'm going to show you the other side of this pond, which is again meadowland. Huge trees around the outside, but you could harvest a lot of these trees because a lot of them are dead, and the wood need to be managed in some way because they're all over the place at the moment. But this would be an awesome place to manage woodland, keep the old big trees that are strong and healthy, and it would just be an awesome place. Now on this side, still a couple of acres of land. You could build, I don't know, a barn. You could build a log cabin, and you might even get away with pulling a caravan down here because you're totally out of sight, out of mind. Once the caravan's here, there's very few people going to see it because there's nobody across from you. The only people who will see you entering the land are the people at the top, who I know, I've spoke to, and who are really genuine people. Like the guy who owns this place, I'll have had a phone call now saying that somebody's down your land. I wonder if this is a view into the brook. Yeah, they've just cleaned this bit out. They're just pulling these trees out of the brook. But look how deep that is. They cut these trees down not long ago. You can see where they cut them down on the opposite side and pulled them up on the bank. And they're milling all that wood, so they just want to open up the brook so you can see it better. But you could easily put a small dam in there and run hydroelectric, no problem. And there's a guy who does that on YouTube, and he gets all his power from hydroelectric. And then you've got trees that must be 50, 60, 100 year old. But I haven't even shown you the woods yet. Wait till you get to see the woods. So you've got the land going all the way into the corner. And I'm going to give you a look of what the land looks like straight across, so you can get an idea of how much land it is. And like I said, people might think that this is going to go for fortunes, like hundreds of thousands of pounds. It won't, because not many people are going to know it's for sale, and the people who do know it's for sale won't pay that type of money for it. But this is a view from one side to the other. So you're looking right along the hillside down there, and the pond is in the middle there. So right over there, all around the edge, that's where the pond is. And then there's another pond up on the bank up there, and then we've got the hillside and the woodland to go. Now I think there's got to be someone out there who would love to own this piece of land. And I understand people say, well, it's too far out, I'm not near my family and all that sort of thing. Well, chances of you finding this land close to your family, you're going to be looking for a long time, unless you already know of lots of farm tracks you can drive down and look for these bits of land, because these bits of land are sold included in 1,000-acre farms and that sort of thing. This is how the guy who was selling it got it. It was just land sold with other farmland, and it was just plonked in there. It's never been used for anything other than feeding wild birds and photographing wild birds for his brother. His brother does photography, he's really good at it as well. But the valley floor, all in all, is about 8 acres in size. I'd say the two ponds are around about a half an acre pond, and then we've got another one on the top here which he named after his father. Those trees there are massive oak trees. 1, 2, 3 of them. If you want to live in a treehouse, you could easily do it down here. And he puts bales of wood like that, so mammals and that sort of thing can live in them for the winter. Gate posts, so you could sling a big gate across the entrance here. But that's not all the land that comes in the sale. This is the second pond, which is higher up, and you can look down onto the land below. So as you can see, there's the meadow field down there. Doesn't look like we're much higher, but we're probably 3 or 4 meters above the bottom meadow field. And then this is another pond at the top. And as you can see, plenty of plants in the pond to keep the water nice and clean, oxygenated. So that's 2 ponds and what, 9 acres of meadow grass, or whatever grass you want to call it. And now I'm going to take you for a walk up the woodland. So the track is in perfect condition. You wouldn't have to do much work to it, but a few 100-ton of road planings, which are easy to get because a guy came to my next door neighbour and dropped a couple of 100-ton for free. They drive around these areas looking for places who were building yards and that sort of thing. and if they can drop it for free, they'll give you it. So that's one way to get it for free, but you don't have to. You can actually buy some, and it wouldn't take much to relay the top of the track. But all of this land here in the hills belongs to this land sale as well. I'll show you it when I can show you some flat bit, because it's all overgrown with scrub and berries and that sort of thing. There's also badgers around here. So the land up the top, all the land to the top of the hill there, your own. And then you see my van down the bottom. But you own all of that land, all of this land where them trees are. It's an excellent place to go for a walk in the morning, if you like. Morning walks, that is. And I'd love to be able to buy this land, I really would. If this is what I was starting off with, yes, it would be hard. Try and get into something like. But it'd be one hell of a place once you made it work. And you'd leave some bits just totally wide, but you need to be managing the woodland. Even if you just brought a team of people in for a couple of weeks to get it down to a manageable woodland that you could manage with a family, or some friends or other people who want to be in a self-sustaining community. There's also a bird hide here, just there, and they have posts stuck out the ground here, old farm machinery there, so birds land on the posts and, well, take good photos of them. It's going to go a little bit dark. So you own all this land to my left, not to my right. That's owned by the people who walk the dogs up there. Has huge trees in here, lots of different types of English trees, so native to the UK. And the hill goes right at the top, and that's where we're going to walk up that access track to the top of the hill, and I'll show you what it looks like, and I'll show you what it looks like looking down on the wall of land below and what you can see. So the access track itself is owned by the person selling the land, and it'll be the only thing he owns when he's sold off all the land, because that's what a good guy is. He doesn't want to give the access track to anybody so they can cause trouble for anybody else who he's sold the land to in the past. He keeps it in his name, and if there's any problems, they can sort it out through him. He just wants to be nice about it and doesn't want to feel a twat to anybody who's bought land off him in the past. So I'm going to show you what the woods look like and how easily you could build tree houses to rent out in these woods. And the woods go all the way up the track. So this is the track that you would drive out. It's an amazing little tree house. And some of them trees, some of them could be felled for timber and you get more grown. And we'll have to keep walking up the track to get to the other track that accesses the top of the land. Now, you can walk to the top of the land from down the bottom, but it's a steep bank to walk up. But if you manage this woodland, it would be an awesome woodland. And you could do all sorts of things to make money from this patch of land. Now, you don't have to make money from it if you don't want to, but you could do a lot of things. You could do nature walks for schools and that sort of thing. You could do Halloween walks. You could rent out them little bird huts or bird watching huts for people to take pictures of birds when they're seen in the area. You could rent out the area for people just for photo shoots. It's so secluded but not remote. It is really, really the best piece of land I've seen come on the market for anybody wanting to live off grid. I hope you can see the potential of this land through the video, because it is really amazing. And I know for a fact it's not going to go for what you expect it to go for. All in all, there's about 15 acres here. And I wish I had an investor who would invest in me to buy this land. So here's the access track going to the top of the land. Now it is a little bit overgrown, but we can still walk up it. And he comes up here in the track there and just takes all the top off. And this could do with shalings put on the top of the track, but it's no problem really getting through. You could cut it with a lawnmower and it's all hard underfoot. It's not mud or anything like that, sloppy soil. But this is off-grid as paradise, let me tell you. And I don't care where you come from in the country, if you've got a driving licence, it only takes you a couple of hours to get back and forth. And if you've got a family, this is an excellent place to set up shop for off-grid living. So here is the 2-story tree house. Could be built a lot better, but give him his due. He's an old guy and he built it for his grandson. As you can see down the bottom there, just through the trees, that's the access track. And then just beyond that you'll see a pond. Now you can get to the treehouse by walking through there, but I'm not going to slip and walk down there. But you could easily make a livable treehouse in these size trees, easily, and there's bigger ones on that side. When I first saw that treehouse, I was like a big kid. It took me back to my childhood when I would have been making tree houses all day long. Now this land hasn't been taken care of for several years. When it's taken care of, it takes around about 2-3 weeks to take care of all of this land, cut the grass, cut the hillsides and all of that sort of stuff. And once you do that, well, it looks amazing. Honestly, it does. Now you wouldn't need a tractor, a good strong tractor, to keep on top of this sort of land. You couldn't just use a lawnmower like I use, an industrial lawnmower. It'd have to be some sort of old Massey Ferguson or something like that. But they don't cost much money, a few grand. You can buy the implements pretty cheap as well, and you could get this land looking in tip-top condition all year round. And if there were several years who bought the land, well, you could make it into a thriving community. So all the walk I've just did all the way the top of the hill past the woods has brought me back around to the bottom of the land, still inside his boundary. This is the boundary and that's what you're looking out over. Just get under these trees. And then that's the land there. And this, and where my van is now, that's where I would build a barn to store things in, because it's a flat surface already. It's got some big trees right next to it, big trees. Big trees there. But where my van is, under this canopy, or maybe further back, I would build a barn, and I would shut up lots of log cabins or yurts, those sorts of things. Maybe you can take them down in the winter, so you'd only have to do it for a certain amount of year or a certain amount of time of year. But guys, honestly, you will never find better than this. And this is down a farm track, down a farm track, down a farm track. Comes with no covenants, no clawbacks, no restrictions. So once he sells you this, he sells you this. You're not going to have any arguments with anybody. Now obviously you'd probably have to put in for planning permissions for glamping pods and that sort of thing. But in an area like this, the council would almost certainly let you. They'd almost certainly let you, because it'd be a retreat. You'd be bringing money into the local community. And if you want to live on site, this is the perfect place to get away from prying eyes from the man that be overlooking us all. But quick look again, guys. All the land where all the large trees are on the corner, all in that corner there, all that is meadow land. You got your pond there, Then you've got a pond there. You've got a brook just off the side of the land, and that gets to about 4 or 5 feet deep, and it's crystal clear. Crawfish and all that are in there. You can go and pick them out and eat them, whatever you want to do. I know some people that actually do it. You could build almost anything and get away with it down here. Once people knew you were here, then it would just be doing what you wanted to do, because once the council seen how remote it was, they wouldn't really care, honestly. But you could put in planning applications, like I say, get planning applications passed for some, you know, camping pods or yurts or something like that. There's so many possibilities with this piece of land. You get all your money back, definitely what you put into the land. I can guarantee that. It might take a couple of years, but you'll get it back. You can put solar on here, you can put wind, you can put hydro. You know, this piece of land would fit 5, 6, 7 families easily, and 20 grand a piece, and you'd have the place bought. Simple as that. You've got a good access track that it's owned by the person who's selling the land, and this is the last piece of land he's going to sell. And when he sells this, he wants to keep the access track, so he doesn't, or any of the people who own the access track, stop anyone else from actually doing anything or crossing the track. He's going to stop any arguments by doing that. And I think that's a great idea. So when things need doing, either he'll come and do them because he's such a nice guy, or he'll make sure everybody does what they want to do. Anyway, guys, my name's Craig. You've been watching A Small Farmer Life. If you've got any interest in this property, drop it in the comment section below. If you've got any comments, got any questions, drop them in the comment section below. Thanks again to all my patrons. Couldn't thank you guys enough. And YouTube members, really appreciate the support. Make sure, guys, you take care of yourself. Most of all, take care of the family. Be genuine, guys. Bye for now. See you.